it.
Yeah, so obviously, I guess you should introduce yourself to.
Yes, I should.
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
um, yeah, so my name is Winston Ben Clements. How I met Caleb was at a conference. I think it was about a year ago, actually.
It was about
Um,
this time last year, yeah.
Literally exactly a year ago, last April. And it was the Inner Fire Charity Conference, which was like a mix of inspirational speakers, but you also had like musical performances as well.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess you was on the music side,
I
and I
was
was
on
on
the
the
music
speaking
side.
side.
That's it. And Winston is a TED Talk speaker himself. So
Two-time TED Talk
two
speaker.
times. So yeah, guys, you're in for a treat.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're just really talking about, everything that's going on right now, and maybe in the process of doing this, we'll fire out some good ideas for people
yeah.
to get to grips with, and maybe give some more people some hope that this isn't as disastrous a time as it sounds like it is.
Although it is pretty bad.
Yeah, yeah, it's a time of change, and
Yeah, yeah. No, it is. And I think what we were kind of talking before you hit record was about actually how this is a time for those that keep running their race. Um, it's a good opportunity to, first of all, work on those side projects. But the thing that gets me really excited, and I think this applies across industries, like there's never really been a time like this, not in my lifetime, when everything has just stopped. Like literally,
yeah,
like somebody just hit the pause button on the world. And so whether you're a musician or in my case, a speaker, like for me, I'm thinking, how can I use this time to like literally upgrade my offerings, my service, my products, and maybe even catch up with people who before this were like 5, 10, 20 years ahead of me. Like this is a
yeah.
once in a lifetime opportunity to literally close the gap. And I don't know if that's your feeling as well.
No, 100%. I feel like there's going to be a lot of people now that are going to close their doors. They're going to step back, sit back, and wait to see what happens. And everyone's got a certain amount of that, but there's going to be
Yeah.
more opportunity now for those who push and like make moves now to get more attention than ever. It's like crazy. I put on an email. So I got a small email list for freelancers, musicians, people in this same situation that have basically had their income cut. And it's like over the weekend, my views doubled.
Mm,
Like, across YouTube, my views doubled in terms of what I'd usually get in a day.
yep.
And this was specifically for one video that I made 2 years ago. I made it 2 years ago, and the daily views have more than doubled.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like if you can get strategic now about putting out something that is useful to someone
Mm,
else, to I guess your target audience, you can really grow fast, and people appreciate in this time if you help them out.
yeah. And yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think now it definitely feels like a time to put out content. Because I know one thing for me has been, well, I had the classic excuse as well of like, oh, I haven't got enough time, got so many things going on with my speaking and all of these big important projects. But when everything gets taken away, like literally, time is no longer an excuse, right? So
Not at the
if
moment.
yeah, not at the moment, honestly, like if we get to the other side of this, um, and you haven't started that side hustle, side project, you haven't started writing that book, writing that song, launching that program, then it wasn't for a lack of time. It was for a lack of discipline, honestly.
Yeah,
Um, Time's not an issue. And then the other thing was like in terms of content as well, this is a time for content creators because the good thing about people being at home, like everyone's consuming stuff. Like, whether it's, and this is across the board, there's people, obviously you choose what you consume. Some people are on Netflix all day, but there are
Tiger King
people
all the way.
exactly Netflix and chill. But there's people just looking for content. So whether you're a writer, a musician, whether you're a speaker, now is the time to literally be 5xing, 10xing what you put out because people are looking for that. And I think those that stay on the ball with their content are going to be best positioned to really capitalize when we get to the other side
Yeah,
of it.
this is it. I definitely feel like there's going to be a turning point at the end of this where those who have been putting in now, they're ready to, when it kicks back in, they're like the spike that you're going to see for
Yeah,
those that have managed to set up more online systems, because the unfortunate truth is something like this is likely to happen again.
yeah,
And
exactly. And
it's going to be more physically locked down than this time. So if you haven't built that online side at all, in some way, shape, or form, you're going to struggle.
yeah, and I think what this has shown as well is that nothing is secure. Like, you could be working for a big company, you could be working for a McDonald's, a Primark, global brands, and where are they now? Like, have you still got that job? You haven't,
Yeah, well,
because these
this is it.
organizations, yeah, nothing is secure when you're working for somebody else. Yes, it might be a means to an end, but honestly, there's no harm in having, building your own thing on the side. And I really like what you said about repurposing your content. You just took like an old video from 2 years ago and you reshared it and you saw that spike because I think maybe a blocker for someone who's watching this
Do you
thing,
know
they're
what the
thinking,
best part about it is? I didn't even
yeah,
reshare it. That was just organic by itself.
okay. Now
Yeah, this
imagine if you had pushed it as well.
exactly. Exactly.
So
And imagine if you'd been consistent before this time, putting
yeah,
out your 1 video a week, your 3 videos a week, whatever it
mm,
is. Imagine how
yeah,
much more content you would have that would be pushing in this moment.
yeah. Yeah, because I had a bit of a similar-ish experience where just I'm not really consistent with my newsletter. It's something that I need to
Yeah, you
be
and me both.
yeah, like I'm just kind of been sort of doing it when actually, to be honest, I've only ever sent out 2 newsletters ever. Let me not even say like I'm inconsistent. It's just non-existent.
Oh yeah,
Um,
bro.
literally. And I just took one of my old blog posts that I wrote literally 2 years ago as well. It's 2018, August. And I just added it as a link and sent it as a newsletter. It was actually on resilience, and I just put it as, this is a great time for everyone to be thinking about their own personal resilience, with this situation.
Yeah.
Um, Here's some tips that I created a while back to help you build your resilience. And I just thought, yeah, let me just see what this newsletter is saying. It's been dead for 2 years. Um, and I kid you not, my database is actually not massive because I just haven't been proactive with it.
Yeah.
Um, but I had so many people messaging me, like responding back to me and saying, "Oh my God, thank you for sharing that," or even just reaching out to say, "Oh my God, I've never heard from you." Like it's so so nice to finally receive something, and you just end up. I think I had about 10 to 12 email responses from that,
Yeah.
and about 3 calls booked this week, just
This
from
is it.
something. Honestly, a link that I created 2 years ago has just been in my Google Drive for ages, reshared it, and all of a sudden I've got calls in the diary, which could potentially lead to opportunities. So, for those of you thinking, oh, but I don't want to create anything from scratch, you probably got something in existence already that you could repurpose just to kind of give you that little momentum to begin with.
Definitely. And maybe say something to there's gonna be a few people watching that are like, okay, well, I wasn't even making any money before this. Maybe
Sorry.
how can I how can I use this as
Mm.
an opportunity to push myself forward?
Yeah, I mean, so money is in this climate, I feel like people, yeah, because let me explain a bit of a weird situation I've seen a lot. Um, and I have a feeling this applies across all industries, but I've seen it a lot within the speaking industry, which is the one I know best. Um, and that's the idea of people reaching out to you, um, trying to sell you something, right? Which happens all the time anyway.
Yeah.
Like, um, but I think in this climate, um, people are even 10 times more sensitive than they normally would be. Like you're reaching out to somebody who's, well, in my case, I've already lost like half my speaking conferences for the year, right?
Yep.
Um, and then you're reaching out to me not to see how I am or not to offer me value, to ask me if I want to join your Become a Better Speaker boot camp, online boot camp, right? Um, and yeah, I understand we all need to monetize, we all need to push product, but for me, what feels present in this time is to first of all focus on value. So, which is why I kind of went back
Yeah.
to my email list, um, and I'm thinking more about YouTube and videos and content that I
I'm
can
telling
use.
you,
Not
man,
just
YouTube is that silent game out here.
it is honestly, just to position my content and just give back to my community who've been so good to me so far. Um, and also it just feels like a time for building relationships as well. So if you are going to reach out to somebody, just like we're reaching out to each other now,
Exactly.
um, no agenda, just do it because you literally want to vibe with that person. um, and if in the conversation you discover actually we can collaborate on something, then great. But when you do it the other way around, you come in with a hard sell, especially now, I feel like that could fracture the relationship for a long time.
Yeah, 100% agree, man. It's a really weird and sticky time for people and businesses. So, on the one hand, you do have that, you don't want to be going like, hey, everyone, buy my course, buy
Buy
my
this.
product. Yeah. But at the same time, online has been booming.
Yeah,
Like, there's been a
yeah, yeah, yeah,
spike in online sales. Online sales
yeah,
has gone up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I guess,
So, people are still spending. It's just not, I guess you have to find those right people and place yourself in a way where you're focused on the value, and then maybe you can, some of those people who are in a position to buy, and then filter off onto that.
yeah. And I think, and maybe this varies from business to business. So I have a mate who, um, he owns a bike shop. So he sells bikes, push bikes, and he repairs bikes as well, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so now because everybody's at home, um, the weather's kind of decent, um, and we are still allowed to go for exercise one time
That's
every
it.
day, right? Um, he's been inundated by people just wanting to grab a bike because people are saying, well, I could go for a walk and just literally walk around my block. Oh, I could get, an hour's exercise on a bike and go a little bit further, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do a bit more exploring.
Or maybe ride
Um,
to the shops instead of driving or
exactly.
something like that.
Yeah, you can do more, and you can get to be outdoors as well. So depending on your business, then maybe for him, he doesn't maybe have to care about value as much, right? He doesn't need to create a lead magnet for like three top tips about cycling in good
Yeah.
weather. Like for him,
But
people will come to him anyway, right?
exactly.
As long as he's building those relationships and providing a good service, a good product, people want to take up his product at this point. So just know where you're at, and know the problem that you're solving, and then alter the approach depending on what you have to offer. So if it's a bike, then yeah, sell the bike. If you're offering optional services like coaching or training, which are not essential, then I would focus on like value first.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
It's funny because I've got one social media client who they run a yoga studio, and obviously studio is closed down. You can't have group classes going on. But what he's done, which is working for him really well, is he's doing similar to what we're doing on Zoom, but he's thrown out live yoga classes and he's uploaded a couple free ones onto YouTube so that anyone can have a class for free. But he's put up like a membership where it's like something, a small fee, like £10 per household per class. So you've now got families waking up together to join his live class on yoga. And he's got, last one he had, he apparently had about 22 households on there. So he's assuming it's £10 a class. That's like, what, just over 200 quid for one class.
Right. Yeah. And
so it's
the
like
good thing about online,
people are making this work. People are making this work, and that's more people than perhaps he could have got in his actual studio.
Yeah.
Especially if it
100%.
grows, because it doesn't matter whether it's 5 people in his class or 500. It's the same amount of work to him.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to expand his premises.
No, that's true. And I think we're talking earlier because I do a online mastermind as well. Well, it's online now. It used to be a live event. And, you know, we tend to restrict the numbers anyway because we wanted it to be super intimate.
Yeah.
And to be able to give people like one-to-one support. But, you know, there is no reason, now that it's all online, there is no reason why we wouldn't be able to scale that up, you know, because there are features on, for example, on Zoom, you can do breakouts and you can do like various other sort of group formats that allow it to still feel intimate, even when it's a larger group. And in terms of preparation, you know, the content is the content, kind of like, you know, your friend with the yoga, you know, he knows yoga, he teaches yoga, whether he teaches it to 2 people or 200, it's the same content, right?
This is it.
And yeah, so similar for us, we're thinking, you know, how can we actually spread this value to more people? Because we, you know, we genuinely believe that what we offer in terms of content is really good. So there's definitely opportunities there. And like even a company like Zoom, now that I think about it, like since this pandemic, I think there were features that only used to be available on the paid Zoom subscription that they've now made available to everybody.
It's a smart move. It's a smart
on
move
the free
from
version.
them. Because if everyone gets used to using Zoom, and Zoom's what everyone's familiar using, at the end of all of this, Zoom is going to be the go-to live platform for classrooms, for business meetings. Because at the moment, they're already dominating the business industry. But for example, now what I'm seeing is a lot of my musician friends as well. Zoom is now where they're at, where they're doing the live lessons. A lot of my PT friends, Zoom is where they're doing their one-to-one or small group live tuition. And then a lot of people are doing really well doing the free stuff they're doing on like YouTube Live or Facebook Live or Instagram Live. Because then people can also see others getting involved and they're like, oh, okay, this is actually like quite, like there's other people taking part. I'm not actually just following a video by myself.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's a good point actually, in terms of, you know, like even what Zoom are doing, making some features available for cheaper or for free. You know, like for me, I know like there's features which I have now become used to on this version of Zoom.
Yeah.
That, you know, when things go back to normal, I'm gonna need I'm gonna need that. Like there's no way I would not pay for that. So, you know, for anyone watching this who's got a product that's got features, maybe think about how you can restructure those features and give access to your higher package at either cheaper or free cost, and get people used to your top product. And then, you know, when things start to go back to normal, hey, You've already got a community of people who love your work, love your product. They want the full version. So now you can really think about monetizing. But in this season, you can almost plant the seeds for it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's also like now that we have this as well, and we've got these different options. This it's just come to me now. Like this is the ideal time to get an extra 50, 100, whatever the number is, testimonials from those people that are doing it.
Mm, mm, yeah, yeah. I like that actually. Um, and
And you
actually,
can
one
be
that's
building the content as well.
yeah, yeah, because testimonials are. I mean, obviously, it's basically social proof, right?
Yeah,
So we all buy stuff. It's like when you go on Amazon and you look for a product, you're not sure. You might not even know anything about, I don't know, microphones if you're me. Um, so am I going to spend days researching the specs? Hell no. I'm just going to look for the one with the highest average rating of testimonials. I'm going to read a few of those. I'll see Caleb was happy. I'll see
yeah,
two, three other people were happy, and I'm ready to part with my money. So if you're not building your testimonials in this time, then you're definitely missing an opportunity. And then this one also came to me now, which is I know a lot of people who are looking to do work in corporate, um,
mm,
mostly speakers, to be honest, but I think it applies to coaching, it applies to personal trainers, like therapy, like to be honest, a lot of services, potentially even music. Um, and traditionally with corporate, it's one of those areas where you kind of need to know somebody who's in corporate to get the gig. You can pitch, of course, you can do a cold pitch, but it's a very difficult conversion rate. It's a very low conversion rate, and so, but now I feel like the the field has been leveled off because now we're literally all of us are working online, right? So it's not about how many other corporate companies you've spoken for. If you're an online speaker, you're an online speaker. Just send me a video of you speaking. If I like it, I'll book you. If I don't, I won't.
yeah, yeah.
It's no longer about who do you know, like what is your CV, this, that, the other. Um, with video, we've literally all got an opportunity to package whatever it is there and then. Like don't take my word for it. Here's me speaking. Click on the link, or here's me performing my song, or doing my personal training, yoga, whatever.
Or
Here's a
here's
video.
the people who took part, and that here's what they think. Because
Exactly.
everyone's gonna say that their stuff is good. Hopefully, I
Yeah.
mean, if you're not bigging yourself up, then it's unlikely anyone else will. But
Yeah.
if I tell you I'm great at this, you're gonna be like, okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean a lot. But if you hear 10 people who you know and respect say, "Oh yeah," or if I hear 10 people I respect and be like, "Yeah, like Winston is the guy. Winston's the
Yeah.
guy to go to," then I'm gonna be like, "Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
like, this is
Yeah.
probably who I need to talk to."
Yeah.
Whereas if you came to me and I'd never met you before and you were like, "Yeah, like I'm the
I'm that
person
guy.
you need,"
I'm
yeah,
that guy, Caleb.
that's it. If you came to me like that, I'd be like, okay, well, I need, you got anything to back that up?
Yeah, I said it, didn't I? Nah, it's true. It's true. And actually, that also made me think about with testimonials, maybe going a step further and asking for video testimonials if you can,
Man,
um, because I think that is now you're really operating in the top 1%. When you pull out the video testimonials, um, and get good ones as well, because I've seen some video testimonials that do more harm than good, to be honest. Um, but like really be sure what you want out of a testimonial. Like it has to be concise and it has to really talk about the value that you bring, not that, Caleb is a great guy, you really are. But I want to know about, how you play the guitar, how you perform on stage, how you deal with big audiences. That's what's gonna make me
yeah,
want to book you. Not the
it's,
fact that you you stir your coffee with a chopstick
That
sometimes.
is it. But do you know what I mean? It's the results. It's the results that people want to see proof of results. Because at the end of the day, the only reason really people buy is they're expecting a certain result, or expecting a certain experience. And if you don't meet the expectations that for whatever reason they had, or that's the reason why they booked you for something, they're going to be disappointed.
Yeah. It's that classic, when you've got a problem or when you've got a pain point, um, you're looking for somebody else. You're looking for a reference, somebody else who was in your situation. They had the same pain and they found the medicine for that pain, and you want to be that medicine. Um, so it's literally like, you know, I've got a bad tooth. Um, you tell me about this amazing dentist who sorted you out when you had a bad tooth. It was pain free. It was like the best dentist experience of all time. Said nobody ever.
This is it.
Um, but now I want to go to that guy because I can literally see myself there, right?
Yeah,
Um, and it's how do you make people see you as that person who prescribes the right medicine? Otherwise,
I
you're
like
just
that.
another good guy who who may hurt me when they pull my tooth out. So I'm not sure that I want to go to them.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Be the guy.
Yeah,
Oh, what was that line you said? Be the one that prescribes the medicine.
yeah. Be the pharmacist, man. That's you. Write the prescription.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
know
yeah.
exactly what you need for that pain, bro.
That is it. That's literally you're talking copywriting right there. That's
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's true as well. Like for the writers out there, get writing. I mean, at the moment, like I said, with my email list, I'm trying to get back on that as well. But also like try and get your name in publications as well. Um,
Do you have
I
any
know
tips
people.
for that?
Yeah, so I know.
Because I think that would be good for a lot of people that are watching this. A lot of them are
Right.
pushing out their videos on social media and
Yeah.
whatnot, but actually their next step would be to, have other people push out their stuff.
Yeah. So maybe like a short version of a much longer strategy would be to um so before the big publications look at you, they want to see that you're getting published elsewhere, right? And they also want to see that you are consistent with putting out content, because the last thing, let's say Forbes, for example, the last thing they want to do is take you on, Caleb, as the contributor,
Yeah,
and you never write anything. You just wanted to say, I'm a Forbes contributor and put their logo on your website. That's all you wanted it for, right? Um, and so they generally do like a lot of due diligence on you. Um, so I guess maybe do like 3 tips to start positioning yourself would be have a definitely have your own content. So if you have a website, definitely have like a blogs page, something that showcases your writing, for example, or have a newsletter, and you can do copies of that newsletter to somewhere on your website,
mm.
just to show that you write consistently, whether it's every month or every week, whatever. So that's one. And then number 2 would be once you've got, I would say aim for 10 pieces at least on your website. Once you've got the 10, then you can start pitching lower level publications. A good one, which normally accepts, as long as the article is original,
Yeah,
you can pitch Thrive Global. Um, and maybe we can put a link somewhere for that.
yeah.
But
We'll add some
if you
stuff in the description.
yeah, if you search for Thrive Global, they're actually owned by Ariana Huffington. So if you know about the Huffington Post, like
Yeah,
massive New York publication, so Thrive is kind of like the little sister of Huffington Post. Um, anyone can pitch that as long as the article is original and it meets their criteria, which is like 1,000 words. It has to be one of the topics that they suggest on their website, not topics, themes, and then you can kind of feed into those themes. So get your stuff on Thrive, and then once you're on a publication like Thrive, then you can start thinking about how to target the big boys. With the big boys, so now I'm talking about Inc., Entrepreneur, Forbes level. If you're feeling super brave, you could go HBR, Harvard Business Review. Um, so with those, to be honest, it's equally about the pitch as it is about the actual article itself. So you could have the
Yeah.
best, blog or article in the world, but if you don't pitch it correctly, your email would never get opened.
Yeah.
And that article will, you might as well have not written it, right? It will not get seen. So this is like I should do a workshop on it, to be honest, but there is ways of even just playing around with your subject line. And maybe a practical thing for guys watching this would be come up with some subject lines for your email. So imagine I'm sending an article to you, you're the editor.
Yeah.
Send some, dummy subject lines to a friend or, someone who you trust, whose feedback you respect, and say, hey, if you got this in your inbox right now, would you want to open it?
Yeah, this
Because
is it.
the subject line has to be almost,
That's
and
it.
you know
Because
this.
they don't see. That's it. No one sees what the content of the email is. They only see the title. So if you
Yeah,
don't
it
capture
needs
that
to be
interest,
clickbait. It literally needs to be clickbait. And sometimes I've written subject lines that were completely unrelated to what was inside, right? But it's literally just to get the email open. So yeah, I think that those would be my top three. But yeah, we could definitely do like a longer
hundred
interview
percent,
where I break it down a bit more. Yeah,
100%, man. There's
yeah,
there's a lot there actually. There's a lot for people to kind of re-listen to and
yeah,
take apart. Really take what applies to them and use in a way that helps them. But I tell you what, because one thing we've not done that I'm just aware of is we've not spoke anything about like your background or why you speak. There's going to be a lot of people watching this that perhaps have never heard of or
yeah,
seen you before. So why don't you just give a little rundown, the
yeah,
comic book
yeah,
#1 series?
yeah. I'll give you the short version because I've got to jump off soon. But so my background is, well, like many of you, I started life as a baby. um, and maybe what made me a little bit unique was that I was born with a condition known as brittle bone disorder, um, which is exactly how it sounds. My bones would break all the time. Um, so remember when you were a kid and you'd run around and you'd fall over and you'd dust
Yeah,
yourself off, maybe a few bruises or whatever. For me, that would be a few broken bones. That's what it would be.
yeah,
Um,
man.
and so, like, I think in my lifetime, I've probably fractured about 200 times. So it gets to a point where you don't get used to the pain, but you learn how to manage it
To
because it
manage it.
happens so
Yeah,
frequently. Um, but then also there were a lot of fractures that happened when I was younger, which is down to stupidity and being a child, um, and not sort of realizing my own boundaries with
yeah.
stuff. Um, it's like, oh my God, they're like hitting each other in the playground. I want to do that. Yeah, maybe I'm not gonna play wrestling with my friends in the playground. That
Yeah,
kind of thing happened a lot. So it was more when I was younger. The injuries, it's a bit more managed now. I can because I'm better at looking after myself. But yeah, so that was sort of the background, and then um, went to uni, did computer science. So I was literally the IT geek. I am actually still a pretty good programmer, so I was gonna say hit me up for programming, but I don't miss it.
oh, it's a good skill though. It is a
It's
good
a good
skill.
skill. It's a good skill because Like now I have websites made. I'm probably at some point gonna have my own mobile app. So I know when developers are chatting shit to me because I can code, right?
Yeah.
Or when they're giving me these big estimates that are not like genuine. But yeah, anyway, so that was sort of my background, and then what happened? And then I had this crazy year, like, which kind of actually feels a bit similar to what's happening now, because it was literally the first time in my life when everything stopped. Like for a good couple of months, I just stand still. And it was basically because like was in this relationship that ended quite badly. Um, Obviously her fault. Now, JK. And then I a business that I invested a lot of money in that went bust as well. Um, a family member got diagnosed with a serious illness, which is pretty bad as well. So all of this happened in a short space of time,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my god! Like when they say when it rains it pours, you're like,
Yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
what else? But so that was a bad stuff. But the good thing that came out of that was that it was literally the first time, like I said, I stopped. Kind of like how people are having to stop right now. We're not
Yeah.
choosing to stop, so we're being forced to stop. We're being forced to take time out, reflect on the things that we really care about, the people who really matter, your mission, if you have one, right? Um, and for me, what came out was actually, yeah, I could carry on working in IT. I could make a lot of money from being a programmer and working my way up the corporate ladder. Um, but at the same time, what I really feel like I enjoy is connecting with people, right? Um, Using my story to hopefully help somebody else overcome some kind of mental block that they might be facing. And I've done that a lot, like on a one-to-one basis. I was sort of like coaching my friends, or they'd always come to me with issues and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And I just do it like, I'd be that guy who I was gonna say agony aunt, but I'm the wrong gender for that. Yeah, whatever male version is for that. So yeah, so long story short, I decided to play around with public speaking. I thought, well, if I'm good at doing it one-to-one, maybe there's a way I can do it to
Yeah.
more people, help
Uh-huh.
more people. And speaking felt like the natural way to do it. But initially, like most people, I was terrified of public speaking. Um, and so I kind of had to. I remember my first talk. It was horrible. Like I was sweating, sweaty palms, the
Man.
whole shebang. Barely get my words out. Um, but I remember when I got off the stage and I thought, you know what, that was really shit, Winston. But I've never felt so fulfilled in my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that sort of gave me I guess, the motivation to keep doing it, even while initially I was really bad. Like it just gave me that motivation to keep putting myself out there. And so, fortunately, I am not as shit as I used to be. Um,
You're not
and then
bad at all, man.
not bad at all. Got a live testimonial there, guys.
Now Winston's killing the game. He's killing the game.
Yeah, well, nah, thank you, man. And so now I get to do, the thing that I love, help people. And make a living out of it as well, which I think is a sweet spot for any entrepreneur, anyone who's got a mission or a big purpose or passion. To be able to get paid to do that
This
is,
is it.
it doesn't even feel like
Nothing
a job, right? So
uncommon fields. So
exactly. So that's me. But I think the biggest lesson for me was once I found that thing that I wanted to do, or what I saw as my mission, I wasn't afraid to be really bad in the beginning because it was contributing to something that was bigger than Winston. So
I
I just
think you hit a
encourage,
massive point there, man. A lot of
yeah,
it,
yeah,
a lot of people seem to be afraid to try new things or go for things they know they want to do, but
yeah.
it's not a safe option at all.
No, honestly, it's not. And I think what makes it more compelling, honestly, is when it becomes bigger than yourself. So, the speaking, I know speakers who make a lot of money. And their job is to just go into companies, do a session, go home. But for me, it's honestly about the people. Like You know, I want to get to know everybody's story. Like I'm the guy who, after a speaking engagement, I will hang back. I will shake as many hands as possible. I'll
Maybe not
hug
shake their hands these
well,
days, but
actually, yeah, yeah, be like 2 meters. Yeah, one of those ones for now. But yeah, when it becomes bigger than yourself, whether it's speaking, music, um, writing a book, anything, I think that's what keeps you going, even on the days when you don't want to write, you don't want to speak, you know, your music isn't coming out the way you want it to. Um, that mission is what helps you stay on course. So, so yeah, that was a little bit about Winston. There's a 1 hour version of that. Um, DM me if you want to hear that.
where can they find you, Winston? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so find me on probably website is easiest, winstonclements.com. We can get it in the description notes or
Yeah.
something, right?
And what about Insta handle as well? Just because I
Yeah,
know
so
that's where most people will go.
okay, cool. So Insta handle will be Winston Speaker. So it's just my name, Winston Speaker, one word. Um, and I think all my social media handles are Winston Speaker. So on Insta, on Facebook, on YouTube, Winston Speaker, and you'll find me. I'm everywhere.
This is it. All right, man. It's been a pleasure. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
everyone. I hope you guys have enjoyed our conversation. I'm sure there's going to be more in the future. We're going to definitely talk more about the mastermind at some point. Not now, but
That's
at some point we will, because there's things already kicking off in there. But other
yeah,
than
yeah,
that, man, try not to injure yourself anymore. Take it easy inside, and yeah, don't shake too many
yeah.
hands.
No, I appreciate it, man. And honestly, guys, this was literally unscripted. We just had a convo
Yeah,
like we would um, over coffee, but I think there's a few nuggets in there shared from
definitely.
both of us. So hopefully, just treat it like a buffet. Just pick whatever works for you.
I like that. All right, man. Well, take care.
Laters, guys.